entire bench sitting.
Solid top three. He was 3 nights. Just the last
JR.
game. Williams versus the pitcher is going to be
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the first press conference of Wild Card round. Just please do us a favor, raise your hand, wait for the microphone. We have transcribers and the TV cameras need to hear the questions and the answers. So with that, we'll take questions for Devin Williams. We'll start in the third row.
Hey, Devin. For the first 4 months while you were sitting on the bench waiting to come back in, what was the vibe or the feel that you got from watching this team? What did you take away from their play?
I mean, I think the main thing was that they just showed up ready every day, as Murph has preached all year long, win tonight, and I think the team really took that and ran with it.
We're going to go the middle, second row.
Devin, because you didn't, where are you physically having rehab for the first 4 months versus where you might be had you had to pitch for the full 6 months? In other words, are you in a fresher place going into this postseason than you might be had you put all that wear and tear on?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm probably in a better spot, having not, had a full season's worth of work. So yeah, I'm in a great spot. I'm feeling good physically, mentally, all that.
Second row on the right.
You were out for half a season, and this bullpen had a lot of new faces on it yet. I think it's the second-ranked bullpen ERA in the majors. What was the key to this bullpen success? Why do you think y'all were as effective as you've been?
I think that, guys looked forward to stepping up, and having bigger roles. Nobody shied away from it. We've had guys like Hudson and Koenig and, a number of other guys that have just come out of nowhere and, given us a lot of value, given us a lot of big outs this year. And going with the win tonight thing, I think everyone's just embraced it. It's like today it's my turn to step up and help the team.
Second row to the left.
Devin, you of course were drafted by the organization, but every year there's, just by the nature of it, there's a lot of turnover with the bullpen, just new faces every year. And the Brewers have really developed a reputation for helping guys improve when they come to this team. When you think back, just watching guys every year when they come into spring training from other teams, can you actually see that process of guys sort of finding something out about themselves when they get here?
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily we do anything differently, I think our coaching staff does a good job of, giving people confidence and trusting in their stuff and, like, teaching them ways to attack hitters better than they were doing previously. So, yeah, really not too much, like, noticeable to the eye, but, you can see it in people's demeanor for sure.
We'll go third row in the middle.
Hey, Devin, we all talk about your changeup, obviously, but your fastball this season has been arguably just as good. Fastball command is something that is obviously so important. How do you remind people you do have a very good fastball as well and how well you've used it this season?
If you want to sit changeup all day, be my guest. I don't really pay attention to any of that. It's reading the hitter, reading the swings, just trying to, keep them off balance. And a lot of times this year it's been necessary to use my fastball more, so that's what I've done.
Stay in the same row, all the way to the right, Tyler.
Devin, you've had a couple of postseasons where there was an injury. Last year, only 1 inning. How much does that motivate you, or how much do you think about that, I guess, like wanting to show your best self in the playoffs and now having that chance to do that?
I only do so much with the opportunities that are given to me. I didn't really have a chance last year for a save or anything like that, so I don't know. I'll be ready whenever the time comes.
First row, all the way to the right.
Devin, because you guys just saw this team and all these hitters, how much do you draw from,
the at-bats and the sequencing and everything of how you matched up against them and how you want to attack them here now this series?
Yeah, I mean, it all plays into it, right? And being that it's so fresh, like that was our last series, definitely need to be mindful of that. And we can take some things from that last series, but that's pitching, right? You got to continue to attack guys in different ways. You can't get predictable, and I think we'll be on top of it.
Gonna go to the fourth row toward the middle.
Devin, Willie talked about how there's been sort of a different vibe in this team as opposed to some of the past year playoff teams. Do you agree? And what is different about this squad this year?
I would agree. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it to you. There's just a closeness in that room. When everyone shows up every day, like, we enjoy being together. No one really wants to go home when the game's over, which is different than in years past. But that's what I would say. We play for each other. We're always picking each other up. If you don't get the job done, the next guy's going to get it done, and we fully believe in that.
Go fourth row all the way to the right, Tim.
The Brewers pretty much every year outperform expectations, projections from the outside. This year, you guys traded Burns, lost Yelich midseason, and yet here you are again. From where you sit, how does the organization do that every year?
That goes back to what I was saying, next man up. We lost a guy like Yelly and Burns and just kind of pulled guys out of a hat, I guess. And Tobias and, Colin stepped up really big this year. But other than that, it's just a mindset in that clubhouse that the next guy's got to step up, and we want them to be comfortable and, and be able to help our team in any way they can.
Third row to the right.
Devin, you said pulling guys out of a hat on the pitching staff. Out of those guys that have seemingly been pulled out of a hat, come out of relatively nowhere to perform well this year, has there been one in particular that has impressed, or I don't know if necessarily surprised is the right word, but you've been impressed by their ability to step up this year?
I mean, in terms of new guys, I would say Tobias for sure. I don't think anyone was expecting him to be in our rotation when we broke camp this spring. Probably not even himself. But, he keeps taking the ball every fifth day, and every time he gave us a chance to win.
Anything else for Devin? We'll go to the left, fourth row.
Devin, historically, these series openers in the wild card round are very important. How do you guys manage that without pressing and getting too over the moment?
I think that we just need to play our game, come out with the same energy that we've had all season. It's going to be a little bit more ramped up here, being that it is the postseason, but I think with as young and inexperienced as this team is, they only know how to go 100%. We've done that all year, and I don't think it'll be a problem going into tonight.
Second row, middle.
Devin, we're sitting here probably 7 hours before you get in this game, if you get in this game. How do you quiet your mind, and how do you cover this time before it's time to go out there and pitch?
I don't know, I just trust in my routine. I do the same thing every day, wake up, have my coffee, drive to the field, yada, yada. I just go about my business like any other day.
Sticking to the same row on the right.
It was mentioned your relative lack of postseason experience. You pitched a tiny bit last year against Arizona. From that little bit you got last year, how different or not different is it pitching in this kind of setting versus a regular season when you come out in the ninth?
I mean, obviously it's different, right? The stakes are a little higher, but that's a mentality. It's as big as you want it to be. So, I mean, if I'm not psyching myself out of my head and just going out there like everything's usual, I think it'll be fine.
Anything else for Devin? All right. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck today.
Thank you.
As a reminder, we'll have Pat Murphy coming in at 12:30. At 1 o'clock, Brewers chairman and principal owner Mark Attanasio. And then on the Mets side, 120, Carlos Mendoza, and 140, Brendan Nimmo.
Very,
We have about a 30-minute window, a lot of new faces.
yeah, let's start. Let's
All right.
start. All the new people. Introduce yourselves. We don't have much time.
He's not kidding.
I'm not joking. All right. What is your name? Yeah.
Oh, hi, I'm Jackie
Hi, Jackie. I'm Pat.
Marlowe.
Marlo? Pleasure.
I'm Hannah from the Journal Sentinel.
Hi, Hannah.
So the drill is if anyone has not met the skipper, there you go.
Murph, you remember this guy? How's it going?
Good, man. Oh, yeah. Robert Murray.
Hey,
Nice. Nice. Know you? Yeah, I know you. No. What's your name? Yeah.
I'm Mark. We actually met last week.
Yesterday, yeah, or the day before, yeah. How about you ladies up there? What are we?
Valerie,
Hi, Adele. How are you? Works for the Brewers?
yes, Jenna also first.
Nice. Guy next to you, I knew him. He was here yesterday, right?
Yeah, I met yesterday.
All right. Who else we got? How about the gentleman there? Second row from the top. You that turned around, yeah.
Hi, sir, I'm Sam.
Hi, Sam. How about behind your left shoulder?
Dennis, we know each other.
Dennis. I don't see very well, Dennis, to be honest with you. Who else don't I know? Just introduce yourselves. We'll get this over with. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I'm from New York, Newsday.
Nice.
Katz, Chodonius, Japan.
Really? Awesome, bro.
I'm Tim. I'm also from Newsday, New York.
Nice. Who else don't I know? Anybody? Who? Oh, we know each other. Good. All right.
All right.
Chris,
Hey, Chris. Where are you from?
Waterford.
What do you do, Chris?
I'm with the team. I'm with the Brewers, working with the Brewers this week.
Nice. New employee?
Kind of.
This is secretive as hell, isn't it? This is secretive.
Timber Rattlers. He's the voice of 150 years.
Oh, is that right?
I work with Josh all summer.
He's being honest.
Nice.
He's a big wig.
That's beautiful. All right, our guys up top, you're all the same? All right, let's go.
All right, I think we're ready to roll. Okay, so let's raise questions and let's raise our hands for questions. We'll get started. Second row all the way to the right.
Hey, Murph, can you just talk about how good it's going to be to have Sal available and just kind of walk us through the decision-making process there?
Well, I mean, it's a credit to Sal and our medical staff getting him ready. I mean, he took we've all seen Sal run into walls and do whatever, and he pops right up. The fact that he didn't get up and he walked off the field himself, but then once he got in the dugout, had to be carried. I thought there's no way he'd play, but fortunately, it was nothing structural, and he's going to play through it, and he's that guy. So it's a great feeling, and I think it'll be a big lift to the ball club knowing that that's at the core of this whole thing. So
Third row, a little to the right.
Murph, how limited is Sal going to be?
well, we hope not at all. Yesterday, I wouldn't say he looked 100%, but he was moving. I was shocked at how good he was moving. And they feel like he'll be a step more today. And that's the only reason he's in there. If we see that he isn't, then we'll pull him out of there.
One row in front, Adam.
Murphy, is he in the lineup or is he going to come off the bench?
You've not seen the lineup yet?
I've not seen the lineup. None of us have.
So he's in there. A lot of them have, haven't you guys? We just kept it from Adam till later. It's just a ploy, you know. Yeah, he's in the lineup.
Yes, first row, all the way to the right.
Murph, what about putting your bullpen together with the three lefties and, Brian Hudson not being on there and how you wanted to match up with the Mets?
Yeah, the Mets are a great offensive lineup, and but they don't feature as many left-handed pockets for us. So we went with a different set of guys that are more right-handed favorable. But we still have our share of lefties for the certain moments, so that's what went into the thinking.
if we were playing a different team, like the Diamondbacks, for instance, I'm confident that Milner and Hudson would have been on.
Second row to the right.
You had said even from spring training that y'all were going to be aggressive on the base paths, steal often. How much of that is your philosophy personally, and how much of that is just the talent y'all have on this roster and that?
I mean, I don't have any certain philosophy necessarily about it. I just think, I've said this a lot, like offensively, it's not just hitting. You know, you have to do a little bit of everything. You have to be able to beat teams in different ways if appropriate. But there's nothing more powerful than the home run. But if you don't have that, set of ball players that do that often, then you've got to make other ways to win. So I think that's where it kind of grew from.
One row behind, Tyler.
Hey, Murph. A lot of people be watching the Brewers who maybe haven't keyed in on them the whole year. But they know Yelich and they know Burns and some of the guys you've lost. What are the biggest reasons that you can make up for such big absences and still be here and really run away with the division the way you did?
What were the reasons?
Yeah. I mean, because it's just,
the dudes in the room, man. They're just a bunch of competitive guys that were not going to be denied. You know, they wanted the opportunity to compete, and you know, you got guys like Adames and Contreras and Rhys Hoskins and those guys, and then some of the pitching staff that just Devin Williams and Peralta. You got those guys. They led the younger guys into just believing that, you know, we're going to win tonight, and we're going to live it. So I think that's the reason we got through the regular season the way we did.
Tim, we'll go to your new friend Tim, fourth row in the middle.
Having just played the Mets over the weekend, what impact does that have on the dynamic of this series?
I think it brings it closer together. You know, like they know us, we know them. What they did yesterday is significant. You know, they had to go there and win, fly all night, whatever, and go there, show up, and beat a really good pitcher, a really good team, and win. And they did it, game one. I think that injects a tremendous amount of confidence into a team that has been as good as anybody in the second half. And, you know, I think it, like I said from the beginning, I wasn't going to worry about who we're going to play, but I think the Mets are really, really good.
The way they played Sunday in particular, getting on base, being aggressive with the steals, looked a little bit how you guys play. Did that strike you at all, that tone Sunday versus the previous 2 days?
No, I think they knew what was at stake Sunday, and they knew that we were in a different situation on Sunday, and they knew they could take advantage. But they have that personnel. You know, when you got guys, Nemo and Taylor and Marte and Bader, those guys, Lindor, obviously. I mean, those guys are really super talented. I mean, those are sought after. They have some position player. They have a team full of stars. You know what I mean? That's why, you know, they're so scary, because they're a team full of great players. You know, you see Lindor's at bat in the ninth. That's indicative of, you know, what's in that dude. You know, he's special.
Go fourth row all the way to the right.
Hey, Mark, what do you think about facing off with a team run by David Stearns?
Geez, what do I think about it? Well, I'm glad he's here. It's kind of fun. You can see some old friends. I don't look at it that way. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, you know, it's our players on the field versus their players on the field. I don't look at it deeper than that. I know David Stearns from being lucky enough to work with him for the last 8 years, I guess, or parts of 8 years. He's a terrific man, and you know, he's a great decision maker, and I have great respect for him.
Same row to the left.
We're kind of building off the previous question. Obviously, I think it was brought up to you yesterday, the importance of these openers. What is your message to this team heading into this game one against, as you said, a very good Mets team?
Yeah, I think, we've been playing playoff baseball every day, trying to survive every day, and we're still trying to survive. Like this is how we've done it. Nobody expected us to be here, but we kind of started to realize if we play this way, we're gonna be okay. So I think we're in survival mode all the time, and it's kind of similar to playoff baseball.
The third row in the middle.
Murph, you've said don't compare this team to past teams, and all the guys that we've talked to all agree that there is a different vibe. Do you think that the guys in the room, a little bit of win tonight, a little bit of you, how do you think you've all come to this conclusion there is a different vibe about this team versus maybe even just last year?
I think that, Dom, it's a good question. I truly believe that every team is different. You know what I mean? Like 2025 has to be different, 2024 is its own entity. I believe traditions are for other people to talk about. The only tradition those guys in the room need to worry about is 2024. You know what I mean? That's it. If you played with a guy in 2023, that was part of that year. And we just take these individual years as they are and then let somebody else build the tradition. We're part of that year, you know what I mean? And if we're part of more than one, then each one of them to me is an individual memory. So I don't say that to slight last year's team or the team the year before, just merely to say that this team is different.
Go back to Adam, second row in the middle.
Murph, on the roster again, you have a large number of pitchers who can give you multiple innings, including like the four guys we would call starters. Do you have any of those guys that you're going to plan to use in relief situations and others that you want to hold for starting games?
I mean, another check out the moment type thing. We have guys prepared for different sessions, okay? So God forbid a pitcher on either of our teams goes out in the first inning, has an injury. You gotta be prepared for that. Guy goes out and doesn't pitch well. You gotta be prepared for that right away. With a guy probably with some length, or the ability to have some length. So those things are baked in there, and it's based on the scenario. Extra innings now, we don't have the ghost runner at second. So you might have an 18-inning game. That's how that kind of worked out.
Back on the left, fourth row.
Murph, I know these are all tough decisions putting this roster together. Was there anyone that you left off that was just a really tough decision to make?
Oh, there's more than one guy like that. When you think about the achievements of Hudson, what he did for our team this year, or the achievements of Milner, what he did for our team this year. Those were two tough ones, but they could be on the next roster if we're lucky enough to move forward.
Anything else for Murph? We'll go to the third row, all right?
Murph, on that note, when you look at a guy like Hudson, I mean, you explained why the lefty matchups don't really work out for this series, and he could be on the next.
As many.
Yeah, and he could, be in a future series as well. But just when you look at him and the numbers, like just the raw numbers that he had, was there a little bit of like a weird feeling of like, this guy's not on the roster?
Yeah, absolutely. More than a weird feeling, like that was like, wow, how that all transpired, the whole thing, it just, but there's a lot behind it. There's a lot to it. Hard one. Colin Ray too. I mean, let's be honest. Look what this guy has done. He's part of the fabric here. We haven't like designated him as one of the pillars, but if you ask the players in there, everybody believes in him, trusts in him, and follows his lead. So that's a tough one.
Okay, anything else? All right, thanks, Murph.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
guys.
Good luck today.
Lieutenant Dan. Lieutenant Dan, 15 minutes, just like we said. he was rolling the eyes when I was like asking you guys to introduce.
Since we have the national media here, I thought I'd do a commercial for Manager of the Year.
Okay, questions for Mr. Attanasio?
And support our sponsor, Gatorade.
We'll start with Tyler
No
on the right,
questions.
third
Oh,
row.
Tyler, hello.
Mark, how are you?
If I'm not good today, I'm not good.
You're right. You've had a lot of different playoff teams in your run here as Brewers owner. What distinguishes this one in your mind?
Well, a number of things come to mind. Starting with youthful energy and that spirit. This team has had more, and we've had some really good teams, but I don't know that we've had any team with this amount of energy and this amount of players pitching in. Kind of there's an expression in, I guess, all sports, especially baseball, when it comes down to crunch time, all hands on deck. So we've had all hands on deck all year, 17 starting pitchers, 12 guys who had saves this year. And, Pat Murphy's focus on win tonight got us 93 wins and home field in the wild card round. Pretty great.
We'll go to the top row toward the left.
Doug Russell with 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee.
I don't think the mic's on that well.
Try
That's how we let you know that we don't really want to hear from you.
let's try flipping the switch on that.
The ratings say the same.
I think we're good.
Doug Russell from 97.3 The Game in Milwaukee. I've asked you this a couple of times now that the season is over. I don't know if you have a chance, or the regular season is over, I should say, to look back on the last 12 months, some difficult decisions made at the end of last year. The trade of Corbin, the managerial change. Do you feel a sense of vindication, satisfaction? What when you look at the 2024 season of the last 12 months, looking ahead to the playoffs, how do you kind of process all of that?
Our team had a number of, an organization, number of challenges this year. Change is something that's present in all sports. Maybe it was our turn to have a lot of changes thrown at us at once. And opportunities, right? So, it was a real challenge to decide whether or not to trade Corbin Burns, but the opportunity to get, Joey Ortiz and DL Hall, it's the other side of that. We had a number of other opportunities this offseason we didn't take. We had opportunities to trade Willie Adames. We fortunately did not, go forward on that. All of our better players were asked for, several of whom are in the lineup today. And so I think, we, as an organization, surmounted those. And then this is more in reflection than at the moment, but we really thought about people and, importantly, our entire coaching staff, even though Craig was the winningest manager in our history and obviously, extremely talented, we decided to go with our people and trust our people. And I'm very gratified by that because Pat and the whole coaching staff, there's a whole coaching staff behind him that has been here and they've been here for a long time. And I'm very proud of the job they did.
Second row to the right.
You mentioned Willie Adames. Obviously, he's certainly raised his stock with the way he's played this year. Just what has he meant to this organization from the last few years, and what's your confidence level about him being here beyond this year?
So he's, from the day he got here, he brought, I talked about energy, he brought an infectious energy and, teammate first and leading by example. And he wanted to play 162 games this year. It got to the point when we clinched that he really needed a day off, probably for a month. So he took one day off. That sends a great example to all these young players. And in particular, bringing Jackson Churio to the major leagues at a very early age. I think some of Jackson's success, obviously it starts with who he is and his performance, but having Willie, and by the way, Freddie Peralta and William Contreras as role models definitely helped him. So it starts with that. He's one of the greatest shortstops, he and Robin Yount in our history, and he'll always be part of us. The challenge, the great news for Willie and his family is, I think the free agent contract's going to be, very valuable for him and quite high, and we'll do what we can do to stretch, but others have bigger pocketbooks, and we'll see what happens.
Same row toward the middle, Adam?
Mark, after seeing Sal Frelick go down the other day, what do you think about him being on the roster and in the lineup tonight?
Well, I just heard walking in that Murph said that he was in the lineup, and look, Sal, I saw Sal 2 days ago when he was sort of not walking great, saying, I'm going to do it. And that's, the same guy. I was in Yankee Stadium last year. He and Joey Weimer, and you know this, Adam, collided. Joey Weimer's like 6'4", 220, full speed. They collide. One guy's 6'4", one guy's 5'8" or 5'9". They crash into the Yankee Stadium scoreboard. They knock it out. And who comes up with the ball? Sal Frelick. Joey Weimer has like a bloody mouth. That's Sal Frelick. And so I'm not surprised he's playing today.
Go third row toward the middle.
Mark, want to go back to leadership. You have some experience and expertise as a leader of people. What is it that Matt Arnold and Pat Murphy have shown you in the way they lead their groups this year, especially in the changeover from a year ago?
And so starting with Matt, Matt has been, the glue in our baseball ops group, and he has steadfastly advanced the careers of many, many people in his group. And I think, therefore, with him, it starts with the fact that his team knows he's looking out for them. And I'd say the same thing with Murph. I had an opportunity to see how Pat handled being the number 2 bench coach here for 9 years. And with Murph, it's always been about people. And that's been the case for both. What we learned about, not every number 2 can be a number 1. And we learned that Murph is a true number 1.
Third row toward the right.
Mark, obviously you guys are going up against the Mets, and David Stern's someone that you helped bring into a really high role in this game. Just curious as to where your relationship is at with him now. Have you guys talked leading into this series at all?
So I guess now, me old school talk means, talk for this generation is texting. So we texted. I congratulated him after the game last night, after they clinched, and he wrote back when they were on their way here. We haven't, he met with a lot of our folks on Friday. I didn't get here till Saturday, so we mostly texted. And he's had, I know from seeing how hard Matt's been working these few days, it's an enormous job to just think who's going to go on, as you know, who's going to go on your roster, and depending on who the matchup is. So he's been pretty busy, but I'm sure I'll see him at some point during the series here. I'm very happy for the success he's had. He was very happy.
Fourth row toward the left.
Mark, getting back to Willie, as a competitor, which I don't think people realize how fiery you are when it comes to this stuff, is it frustrating that there are teams out there, the way the pay structure works in baseball, that you can't sometimes compete because you have the fans in town not understanding that, yet you want to be able to pay these money and retain these players?
Well, we have we have an extremely informed fan group, so I think they recognize there's some limitations on how we can put a roster together. But of course, when there's a player that you love, that can have some frustration that goes with it. The way we try to manage it is there's a sort of a traditional small market analytics model where after 3 years you start to look to trade players. We do the opposite. We try to figure out how many players we can keep here for their full time, starting back with Prince Fielder. And you can't, unfortunately, we haven't been able to keep everybody, but a lot of them. And felt really good to give Willie that standing ovation the other day when he walked off the field, knowing it could be his last regular season game with the team. And by the way, made sure I was in my seats down next to the dugout so I could stand and cheer for him as well. It's, we all know what we deal with, and I think if you give in to we're too small, we can't compete, we don't have the money, you've lost it. What I do like, there's been questions about the fact that our fans now expect more than just making the playoffs. I love that, because when I was first sitting in this seat in 2004, it was all about, we had lost for, 11 seasons at that point. We hadn't been in the playoffs at that point for over 20 seasons, and, we had no expectancy. Now we have a high expectation, and I prefer that.
Go fourth row toward the right.
Mark, having worked with David Stearns and having him been here for as long as he was, you probably had a suspicion that you would be facing again with your team at some point. Does it surprise you that it happened so soon in his first job after this, coming back to, and you guys in the first round?
Yeah, it's a little, look, we know how formidable and how smart he is, so probably would have not preferred to face him, but we also know how formidable Francisco Lindor is, at the top of the lineup, and probably going to be, close to the MVP voting this year. So, that said, I'm really proud that David was able to, turn the Mets around in one season. And if you look at how he did it, he sort of did it the same way he did things here, with a lot of small moves that, any particular move you didn't even notice, but then in the aggregate made a real difference. Probably had more to do with the, who's the mascot, the McDonald's?
Grimace.
The Grimace, right. Probably should have, if we have a purple seat for the Grimace, probably have some sort of seat for Stearns.
I think somebody had to explain to David who Grimace was.
Well, and obviously me too.
All right, we have time for maybe one or two more. We'll go to the last row on the left.
Kind of along the same lines, we can draw a line to the players that David Stearns acquired for the Brewers, but are there tendrils of David Stearns still in this organization, things he maybe put in motion that you're kind of seeing come to roost here over the last couple of years?
Well, sure. Again, the organization, he hired Matt Arnold, right? So it starts with that. And, David, what you do as a best practice in all business, when someone's departing, you have it's called an exit interview. So I had an exit interview with David on the whole group, and in particular on Matt, and he was very positive on Matt, and you can see it, we haven't missed a step. And so sure, his fingerprints are, throughout Matt's group, but, Matt has certainly made it his group over the last couple of years.
Final question from Adam, second row.
Mark, we know you have a long history of loving the Yankees.
Yeah.
I've never asked you, how do you feel about the Mets?
Well, growing up as a sports fan in New York and as a Yankee fan, as it turned out, I really started to love the Yankees in the '64 series and was sure they'd be back. Now I was, 7 years old or something. And that was the start of the big decline. At the very same time, the amazing Mets, with Seaver and Koosman and Tommy Agee and all those players. So I grew up as a New York sports fan. So it's, and by the way, part of me is very nervous about this, obviously, how good the Mets are. But, it's great to actually have the attention we have in this series because the Mets are playing, and I embrace that.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thanks
Absolutely.
for moderating.
All right.
Go Brewers.
1:20, Mets manager Carlos Mendoza will be in the room, followed by Brendan Nimmo at 1:40.
Carlos probably doesn't want this on the table.
Probably not.
Thanks, everyone.